your destination, home. The fuel tank is full and the ship is flying at full speed. Today's to-do list contains waking up, adjusting.
This year has seen a resurgence in throwback platformers with titles such as Yooka-Laylee and Skylar and Plucks. But where both these titles felt almost trapped in the past, A Hat in Time does not, bringing players a colourful world to explore, collectibles to find, and some surprisingly dark humour to indulge in. The emphasis of the game focuses around the rather adorable Hat Kid, who manages to lose all of her timepieces, the fuel that propels her spacecraft. The reason I use the word emphasis rather than story is purely because that's what these timepieces offer, an objective rather than a story, but that is not a bad thing. It's Hat Kid's spacecraft that acts as the hub between different worlds, similar to the castle in Mario 64, but just a lot smaller. This mini open world approach carries through to the different worlds that you'll venture through, and each one is delightfully different. The variety in worlds means the game continues to feel fresh, from city-inspired landscapes of Mafia Town to the movie set ran by owls. Every time I opened a new area, I was excited to see what bonkers creation developers Gears for Breakfast had come up with. But level design is one thing. What's the point of having a charming level if there's nothing to do there? Well, I'm also pleased to tell you that A Hat in Time nails this as well. In all honesty, the first 30 minutes of my playthrough had me a little worried. You start in Mafia Town, and although the world is interesting, your first couple of quests or acts are very generic. But once I started to delve deeper into the game, the fears of it being a regurgitated mess soon disappeared. This was no doubt due to not only the variety of the quests, but the originality they offered. One of my favourites has to be solving a murder mystery as part of a film production called, wait for it, Murder on the Owl Express, which, as you've probably guessed it, plays out on a train. This quest is available pretty early in the game, and after playing it, you still have the joys of playing as a delivery girl on a scooter or signing a deal with a slug devil. At least I think that's what he was. The variety of these worlds is broken down into different acts, each of which ends with you acquiring a timepiece, allowing you to gradually find enough to continue your space journey. Now, no 3D platformer would be complete without a good old-fashioned boss fight, and each world has one of these on offer as well, although you'll need to complete several acts to unlock them. I'm pleased to say that the continuous diversity the game boasts has made its way into these battles, and although they never offer too much of a challenge, they do require you to learn the movements of your rather eccentric opponent if you wish to be successful. Now, you could argue that everything I've mentioned has been done before, which it has, but I'd argue the fact that it's not been done this well for a while. So, what else sets A Hat in Time apart from its competitors? Other than the diverse quests and memorable set pieces, you also have the collectibles. These come in several forms, but the most useful have to be the balls of yarn that can be used to create some pretty cool hats. These hats not only look good, but also give Hat Kid some pretty useful abilities, and combine them with the different patches you can buy, and you pretty much have the world at your feet. Or head, because they're hats. No? Alright, I'll move on. Another area where A Hat in Time surprised me, I mean really surprised me, is just how dark some of the humour gets. On the surface, it looks like an adorable platformer, which it is, but when you start hearing references about hanging people, you question, what have I been drinking? Then realise that actually it fits in perfectly with the gameplay and tone the developers have gone for. If you're now wondering, can I play this game with kids? Then I'd say yes, but just remind them that hanging someone by their tie is a bad thing. I know you wouldn't believe it from this review, but personally, I'm not a huge fan of 3D platformers, mostly down to how I feel they are often repetitive and sometimes clunky with their gameplay. Although A Hat in Time doesn't suffer from repetitiveness or clunky gameplay, it does suffer from the age-old plague of 3D platformers, camera control. For the most part, you have full control over the camera, but when you're in a tight space or tight-fitting area, it has the tendency to place itself behind a wall. The game tries to tackle this by making the environments transparent, which does offer some help, but still doesn't remove the frustration of when you miss a simple jump because you cannot see where you're going. A Hat in Time is a sheer delight to play. Its diverse worlds and original quests are delivered in an adorable bundle of joy. Although the camera will sometimes choose to be your worst enemy, it never deviates you from the charming task at hand. Developers Gears for Breakfast have done a brilliant job in capturing everything that made the genre so iconic in the 90s, while putting their own spin on it. A Hat in Time is an example of how nostalgia can be done right in video games, and is, at the moment at least, the best 3D platformer to release this year.